Yeah, bro, it sounds real bad, man.
Yeah, that shit is like double echo.
Yeah, robotics, double echo, all kinds of shit going on.
Bro, who y'all providers, man?
Hello, I just logged in. How y'all doing?
I get that Comcast.
It's probably because there's so many people in here. We should probably
Yeah,
mute our
so bad.
mics. We should probably mute our mics when unless we're speaking.
Nah, it's Hun shit. Hun shit fucked up.
Yeah, how everybody doing? I just logged in.
Peace.
Peace.
Greetings.
Can you guys hear me now?
Nah, man, you sound fucked up, man. The Aboriginal God, whatever his name is,
Bro,
got you.
fucked up, bro.
Aboriginal God got you, nigga. You done.
What?
Oh,
Ooh.
What's your name, brother, and what's your perspective on the whole topic?
yeah, the whole discussion.
Yeah, my name is Dex, man, and I've been watching the discussion for a while, and I think we have to just slow down because this is just me. Because there's no argument, there's no debate to what the truth is. It's just what it is. And when you're serious, the truth is gonna keep showing itself to you. Me being of what they call African American, Black, Negro, colored, everybody else in this country came from somewhere that's definitive, except for us. Because in order for people to come here, they have to displace who's already here. And you telling me that wild Indians like Javion Clowney, Russell Westbrook, Warren Sapp, remember, out in the wild, these are the kind of Negroes that was populating this land. You telling me you can get 400 million of those on a boat? I guess they will. I don't think so.
Before you jump into that, somebody come good now?
So what I'm saying is,
Can you guys hear me?
yeah, what I'm saying is we have to.
Yeah, I can. But you sound bro.
Hold on. You could do a lot. People would do a lot of things that are out of character. If you have a gun to their head, or if you ransom them by
400 million though. Look, listen.
It's 2 million of us in jail right now.
I'm saying, listen to
right.
Listen to what they say and watch what go down. Because what go down is the real.
It wasn't 400 million all at one time though. This is over the course of
and that 400 million is a small. I bet it's less than 1% of an even larger number. Because I'm telling you, look at how black people click up when we know what time it is. Look at how the Caucasian has to confuse us into certain positions. 40 years, 15 years, 12 years a slave, right? Dude was tricked into slavery by believing white people could be his friends and business partners. What I'm saying is, you don't deceive people of your intent unless you're weaker than them. Even when it came to drafting people and throwing them into Vietnam, they can't draft you unless you sign up to be drafted. So their whole interaction with black people has been one of deception. Even now.
And not only that, that's one of the first rules of war is you attack the weakness or whatever.
But they take that out of context because they attack. I mean, they deceive on their intent. Okay, that's the thing that nobody else really does. Is that they fight people who believe they're not fighting. You know, right? Even right now, black people don't even realize that they're under military occupation. That's a brilliant.
Exactly.
That's a brilliant scheme because every time we find out, We click up. That's where the revolutions came from. That's where the riots came from. You know, we burned their stuff down, so what they did was integrate us so that we believe that their stuff is our stuff. It's still a mental trick. So when you look at the language, okay, English is not a language. Okay, you know, I have to slow down and describe this. I taught myself several languages, and there are things that I had to do in order to accomplish the ability to flow in those languages, which exposed to me what English really is. And
what languages are you? Pardon me, brother. What language are you proficient in?
I'm fluent in Spanish, fluent in Vietnamese. That's reading, writing, speaking, everything.
All right, so speak the Spanish behind right now.
All right. Aprendí el español hace 12 años. Comencé a estudiar por libros, pero me di cuenta que los libros no funcionan bien porque la gente hablan de sus corazones, pero los libros tienen definiciones que no pertenecen a la cultura donde provienen. You know, so.
All right, that's what's up, brother. That's what's up.
It's
Spanish better than mine.
Well, what I'm saying is, true languages, you flow from the heart on out, right? English is some other stuff, because when you use a language, period, you're really trying to just express the truth which you feel. You feel truth first. That's the first place it come in. You feel it, and your words are an attempt to express it. That's why genetically, black people tend to change English into something that flows when it doesn't flow. There are things that we know that the Caucasian can't know because genetically they're excluded from. So when you're talking about language, you have to talk about culture. When you talk about culture, you have to talk about genetics. And I noticed that this whole argument that people have against black people saying that they're Aborigine is they're avoiding the genetic question, meaning where on earth is an Aborigine not black? Where on earth?
Brother, I think that's exactly where we take the conversations all of the time. We take it into genetics. It is the abo side.
But you have to start at genetics. Genetics is the root. You know.
Okay, and we can start at genetics.
Now, does a tree ever change its fruits from what its root is? Meaning, if you
phenotypically speaking, yes. Phenotypically speaking.
Okay, phenotypes. Now, is phenotype the most precise way to I ain't gonna say identify shit.
Well, let me clear that out. It's not just phenotypes. It goes hand in hand with genetic mutations. So there is a genotypic mutation in the genetic code, and sometimes that causes nothing, but many times, especially when you move into new environments, there is a phenotypic change that comes with that genetic change. So it goes hand in hand.
Now, would you say culturally? Would you say culture?
I say phenotypic. I
say phenotypically. Okay, you say phenotypically. But what I'm saying is, how a people move, how they get down. Okay, would you say that's genetic too?
You're talking about behavior?
No, I ain't talking about behavior. I'm talking about their ways, their being, the way that they move energy.
That language right there that you're speaking is extremely vague. That's that's blanket. That's a blanket statement.
Because there's multiple aspects that play a part in that. You have nature versus nurture. You have both playing a part in how people move.
And in this society, you have to account for the fact that foreigners came in with the intent to disrupt the cultures that were there in order to gain access to the children. And if you look at how Caucasians fight today, that's exactly what they continue to do. They go and they disrupt the adults' ability to run their societies. Then they find a way to maneuver in to either snatch or in modern times, they don't even have to snatch them. They just set up universities and government structures around the society, and then they end up taking the children through media and school. But the children are how a culture genetically renews itself, both mentally and physically. And who has access to the world's children other than the Caucasian? So you have to look at the entire equation, not just the parts that they put out in their narratives. Because even now we're looking at their maps. We're looking at what even when you look at Mesoamerican civilization, that's their grammatical and language structure. That's not what those people were speaking. Those vowel sounds, because the Caucasian has a monotone. He doesn't have a tone. So he has to mimic.
Yeah, but
see what I'm saying?
We do have maps though that describe certain geological areas.
And you have narrations of those maps.
Not the European.
You have narrations of those maps. You don't have the original.
No. We have the actual maps. I could give you one right now from the 1500s.
Do you have the people who created those maps telling you what they are?
I can give it to you right now. I'm gonna give you one right now.
All right, go ahead.
Hold on. Because I'm in a laundromat right now, so I'm gonna put it in the thing. Hold on.
And you do have continuity of people in Mesoamerica, South America, Central America, speaking their languages.
Yeah, but when you outside those cultures and you interpret it, the meaning gets lost. It's real easy to define what's not yours, and then you argue and trade what's not yours. But what is yours, you only share among yourself. What's outside of you, you trade. And that's why I say you got to just slow down and observe it, because it's already what it is if you just watch how things happen. Because who are the only people that go around the planet to disrupt every culture on the planet in order to colonize the minds of all children on it, as many as they can? You have to look at that. That's not really behavior. That's their genetic expression, which they explain away.
But the European is just the most recent example of a conquest. Before that, it was the Arab. Before the Arab, it was somebody else. It's always something.
I know. Here's the thing about conquest, though. People conquer only within their own genetic families, other than the Caucasian. The Caucasian is the only people that go to every single genetic family to try to conquer the minds of them. So that has to be explained.
The explanation is technology. So just because
technology is a derivative. Technology is a derivative of the science of cultural practices. Who creates technologies designed to actually erode and destroy people's ability to defend themselves? I mean, you can even look at a fist fight today, like the way that black people fight, the way that Mexicans fight, and the way the Caucasians fight are totally different.
What are you trying to get? How does this relate to who was indigenous to the Americas? Like, I feel like where it's going is
who? Because the energy of the land is what I'm saying. Who influences? Who? I'm trying to find a way to phrase this. There's a certain way. There's a certain way that people take on. Yeah.
You said we get away from the genetics, but as soon as we try to bog down and stay on the genetics, you went somewhere else.
I'm staying on genetic expression, because how the genetics express themselves shows you what the genetics are. I'm not even giving value. See, this is what the confusion is. I'm not giving value to what they put on the chart or graph. I say the chart. It's sort of like when they talk about crimes in the hood. They decontextualize it by talking about it statistically.
I'm just listening. I just want to get a understanding, brother, to where what is the point alluding to? Like, what is your position?
Okay, here's my position. I see what a disconnect is. Time. Okay. If you see time as past, present, and future, you can't understand what I'm saying. But if you see time as always what it is, that's the only way to come into what I'm saying. And they've done a good job of distracting us from what time really is, because when you look at present day, is not present day an expression of all that came before?
Ain't nothing new under the sun.
Yes.
Okay. So you have to look at, when you look at the surface of something, you can't ignore the core of it. The core of it never changes, but the surface has changes that move. But the core of something is what it is.
I think I can bridge the gap. All
right. Yeah, I put that map in the back for you too, brother.
All right.
It's called a
Let's be clear. What we're talking about right now. Let's be clear that we're not talking about genetics right now.
Wait.
Right.
What I'm saying is when you talking about something true, you're talking about all of it. That's being expressed, including the genetics. You know, so like when I'm talking about water, I'm talking about all of its expressions. With the drop, the river, the flow, the rain, the vapor. See,
I think I know what he's saying.
You have to understand that there's a people that influence everything that goes on in this country. That whose name changes every 20 years. Every time people come here, they end up moving like, talking like, dressing like black folks. Unless they're professional, they become, they suppress that and become like the white folks. But how is it that black folks have so much influence over people that come here than anybody? And why haven't black people?
That's not necessary. That's a matter of perspective.
It's genetic
not
expression.
Necessarily true.
There are ways.
Like you're talking sociology at this point.
I'm saying you have to watch how people express themselves.
Because just as much as we influence everyone else, we're influenced by the other cultures that come here.
Not to the same degree. Not to the same degree at all.
It's a syncretism. Like, no one's gonna lie that black culture has literally influenced the
whole world.
Like,
yes.
Whole world. That is, no one's denying that.
But how is a people so suppressed able to influence the world to this degree? Even white people, all of that technology is derived from what they see black people do. As a matter of fact, they go around the world. Pretending to be us in a lot of degrees.
By each other, due to contact, like people via contact, people influence.
We react
so just as
to
black people have influence.
Black people don't copy anybody. Black people don't mimic anybody.
Bro, I think
black people react.
Metaphysical stuff that it's not relevant to biology. It's not relevant to archaeology. It's not relevant
because you're fragmenting what it is. You fragment what it is in order to form biology. You fragment the genetics in order to form it.
You're talking about things that are social, and you can definitely have a discussion, but it has nothing to do with.
Look. For example, hold on, guys. Let me give a very specific example of the fact that you said time doesn't matter. It's present, future.
I said time. I'm saying past, present, future do not exist. They do not exist. Don't ignore. You can't ignore that. You can't. You cannot ignore that.
No, that's perfect. I'm going by what you're saying. I'm accepting.
But do you see what I'm saying? You're going by my words. You taking my words, but you're taking my words. But you don't see what I'm saying.
Everything that you're gonna say about that, you said the present, fuck the future, fuck the past.
No, I ain't saying fuck nothing. I'm saying look at what it is. Okay. You are an expression of your mama and daddy getting together. If they never got together, you wouldn't be here. You are an expression of your mama and daddy getting together. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. But let me give you an example of how irrelevant that is to the fact.
Okay. How is it irrelevant?
That, for example, you don't find a single congoid skull structure in the fossil record of the Americas that would link African Americans to it. You find proto-Mongoloid, which starts looking more like an Australoid, and you find the classic Mongoloid skull structure.
Caucasian.
But the present, the past, and the future, and all that philosophy has nothing to do with the fossil record of what's in the Americas.
You're giving me the classification structure of the people who benefit from stealing everybody's culture.
No, because the classification, those labels, we wouldn't really care if we labeled one the Ninja Turtles. I don't care if you label the other one. If you label the other,
Caucasians even be here if they were not able to influence you to buy their labels.
I don't care what labels you put on top of it. At the end of the day,
I'm saying when you look at today, how can you look at today? How can you look at today with no consideration for how we got here?
I do, and I could tell you this for a fact. Both the genetic, the archaeological, the linguistic, all routes of evidence point to man's origin being somewhere in Africa. It could be the Mediterranean.
So you're saying the entire planet was uninhabited at one point?
Yes. Okay. By humans, by Homo sapiens sapiens.
So you're saying all of a sudden that was just an explosion of
hominins,
and they all came from Africa. Every last one.
Exactly.
Now, geographically, when you look at Africa, it's literally butt up to Europe. Okay? When the Europeans first came out of Europe, the first black people they encountered were in Africa. They named the area that they saw Africa. Just same way that they named the area that they everywhere that they touched down, they named it New England. They named shit after themselves. Now,
wait. Are you saying that Africa? Hold on. Are you saying that Africa?
all right.
Just trying to say though.
Am I back? I got disconnected.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you back.
All right. I'm saying we're looking at the. I'm saying we're looking at the world.
Saying,
we're looking at the world on how the European named it, but we're not considering the fact that those people didn't need to be named by Europeans in order to be who they were.
Right. But what I'm trying to say is that irrelevant of what they named it, that it's irrelevant to what we are referring to when we are trying to point each other's attention towards a given region. So if I say Africa, I don't give a damn the etymology of Africa. I'm talking about that continent that everybody in this forum would understand as Africa.
What evidence do you have from outside of Europeans that the whole human family came from what they call Africa?
Okay, now you said outside of Europeans. Hold on.
Outside of Europeans saying so. Outside of Europeans saying so. What evidence do we have that nowhere else on the planet black people are just in Africa?
Outside of Europeans, so I'm gonna go with Selassie. So I'm going to go with the paleontologists, African paleontologists, because they're not European.
And African paleontologists are trained by European universities because the Jesuits went everywhere to establish those
Africa. It's an African university, so
those universities are in Africa established by Europeans, just like either like Spelman College, established by Caucasian Jews.
You're saying that they have no brain, that they cannot think for themselves.
I'm saying that the information that they're thinking on came from white people. The information that they're thinking on.
See, and this
because who's digging up everybody's graves? It ain't black people going around the world digging up black people's graves. It's white people doing
it.
This is what you call an intellectual inferiority complex.
No, I'm describing what they're doing. Why is it the only people? Why is
the black man is intellectually inferior?
What movement? I'm not saying none of that. I'm looking.
Africa. The first
black man
university in the world
for himself. He's a fucking idiot. Apparently, only Europeans have a sense of reason and science and a mind.
The scientific method is recorded in Egypt long before Europeans come on the scene like that.
It's interpreted by. We're going by their interpretation of it, though. That's what I'm saying.
No, the paleontologist from Ethiopia has his own brain to interpret
the paleontologist from Ethiopia. You have to ask where his training came from, and you have to ask where his training came from.
He has a brain to think for himself. If he sees a flaw in it, he will expose it. He will rebuttal his peers. He has a brain.
Your nutrition is only as good as the food you consume. Okay. You know, so if all I have access is to cheeseburgers, my health is not going to be as good as somebody who has access to salad.
This goes back to what I was saying earlier.
Who's making your food?
I'm just gonna let you know you're making a logical fallacy by saying that Africans, as if Africans weren't able to distinguish whether or not the information is valid.
I'm saying what I'm saying is.
That be the case. Why should we even listen to you? Because you were trained in
everything I'm saying.
System.
Everything I'm saying is telling you to go see. My ability to flow in these languages came from me, because I had to break. That's what I said earlier. I had to break what I was conditioned.
You didn't read books or study tapes to learn these languages.
I have to answer that
honestly.
I have to answer it this way. I can look at the books, but the books don't teach me to flow with the people.
who wrote, and that's what we're saying. If an African scientist has the information put in front of him, do you not think he has the intellect and power to discern whether he's being fed bullshit or whether 1 and 1 equals 2?
That means you diminishing the African intelligence right there. That
absolutely not, because I don't stop at what some accredited scholar believes.
The same way you were able to decipher these languages by looking at these books, and
I didn't decipher. I didn't decipher the language. I realized what language is.
Discern.
There's
an understanding from them.
What you understand is this. When you are able to sense for yourself what absolute truth is, then the language that comes to describe that is formed on its own.
But even so,
that shit is pseudo as hell.
Look, I'm just telling you. Look, if you click on my channel, if you click on my channel, you're gonna see me flowing with Vietnamese people in real time, in a way that Caucasians can't do, in a way that academic studies can't do, because
just like scientists follow a proper methodology to discern whether or not something is factual.
How can you learn a language of a people who are not around?
The Mayans are not around. The fucking Aztecs are not around.
They're still there. That's what I was trying to tell you.
And those people, you saying those people are sharing their whole hearts and souls with foreigners walking into their lands? Are you telling me that?
I can take my grandma is 100% Zapotec. I can speak some Nahuatl.
You can speak some. What I'm saying is knowing a couple of words
and being able to express yourself through it
are two totally different things.
We all speak. We got two brothers right here, me and Joseph, that can speak our native languages.
Can you speak them? Can you speak them with every? Let's see how. Can you express every breath of your life through those languages?
Yes.
Oh my God.
But what does that have?
Yes. I'm not as fluent, bro? but both of my parents are.
Hold on. Let Alan go in. Okay.
What is the point? Like we brought this up earlier, right? Before you came on here, we talked about what was the European intention? The European intention was to demonize every person that was of a color or whoever he took over. Like you said, to take the children and make them think they was nothing. All science shows us, and their science shows us, that they are no longer the original man, as they tried to make it the world believe that the African is the original man. What's the conspiracy in that?
I would say
what's the conspiracy?
All Aboriginal peoples, because to label all black people African.
Hold on, we're not labeling all black people African.
Or to label the Africans the oldest black people. To label Africans as the oldest black people. What?
Listen, hold on. All right, so let's get technical then.
Yeah.
The Sand people, we're gonna use their names then. The Sand people and the Hazda people. These are the oldest people on the planet genetically, since you want to talk about genetics.
That's arguable.
Human being,
that's who they say is the oldest.
No, that's not. No. Stop this madness. This is what the Y chromosome shows that you have in your body, and that traces every single living human being back to those specific living people that are alive today. So if you deny this, that means that you better never take a paternity test, and if you ever get in trouble, you better never use that DNA to save your ass, because this is the same science.
Same science, different samples. We don't even
have to go that far. The man said he wanted to talk genetics, and now that we're talking genetics, now it's the white man's genetics. What kind of shit is that?
Don't label what I'm saying. Don't label what I'm saying. Do not label what I'm saying, because you're putting it into a package. You're putting it into a package in order to dismiss. What I'm saying is go with what I'm. What I'm saying is look at what genetics is. I'm saying look at what I'm saying without having an emotional value on it. That's what I'm saying. Because the moment you label it, you turn it into something you can laugh off. Stay in it.
You're redefining the study of genetics. You're redefining what genetics is.
I'm actually clarifying what you're saying. I'm actually clarifying it, because you can't look at one aspect of it as the same as all aspects of it. Is what I'm saying. So where'd you go to school?
Hold on. I just want you to get to the point. Where'd you go to school at, bro? Where you from?
I'm from Texas.
Where you from?
I'm
Where'd
from
you go to
Texas.
school at?
He dropped out.
That's right, I did.
Did you go to college? Did you go to?
I've never gone. I've never gone to college, and I
Did
barely
you go to high
graduated.
school?
Yeah, I did. I
Did
had
you
to get. I
graduate?
had to get over my high school education.
Did you
know.
graduate?
Yeah, I did. I at
So
least
you
did that.
learned how to read and write from the white man.
No, I learned how to read before I went to school. Actually, I taught myself how to read when I was 3. And
I'm
then,
done.
Yeah, you are done.
Okay.
You know, look.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know what other aspects of genetics can possibly
It's impossible to teach yourself how to read. I just want to point that out.
You would think so, but I read 3 languages that I taught myself.
How would you know what the symbols stand for?
Based on what methodology did you use to teach yourself how to read at the age of 3 when you were playing with Lego?
Rhythm, okay, not repetition. Rhythm.
Who's talking? What's his name?
But
go look at my channel. Go look at my channel. I describe how to do it.
But you're lying because these symbols.
I show you what I'm doing.
The symbols are agreed upon. So.
But they're used the same way all the time by people of a certain group. So if you keep exposing yourself to them, you will see how they're used. You will see how they're used.
The alphabet, the sounds, the symbols that represent the alphabet are agreed upon sounds.
But I don't use an alphabet. I do not use an alphabet to learn to read. I read Vietnamese fluently. I read Vietnamese fluently. I read Spanish fluently. And I didn't use an alphabet to do it.
What is it? You had to learn it from somewhere. I self-taught myself Japanese, but I had a methodology. I had to.
I created it because it's rhythm. I know how to listen and hear and feel. I created it. I don't use alphabets.
I'm talking about learning to read. Learning to read. Someone has to teach you what those symbols mean.
No, they don't.
What sounds they make.
No, they don't.
And also,
because all you got to do is you observe.
You could look at an A and just know it means.
You observe.
It means ah. You
no,
can know that it's 3-year-old.
No, what I'm saying is you listen to the whole movement of the language, and then
that is different than learning how to read symbols.
But reading comes after that. Okay, it's an organic process.
You're right. So, and someone would have to teach you that.
Wrong.
I think
I listen and then I mature into being able to read and write.
Amar, you better not be rationalizing his shit right now.
Go look at my videos that I intentionally put up because nobody's doing what I'm doing. I'm describing what I'm doing.
Let me say this.
Amar, he's lying, Amar.
No. I'm trying to.
Hey, you won't even go and investigate me. So you want to say I'm lying? All right, go ahead. You won't even investigate me. That's what I'm saying. You won't even investigate me. You just want to dismiss what I'm saying, and that's to your detriment. See, there you go right there. These niggas put me on mute because they can't handle the truth. End of call.